Hi, my name is Peter Thomas, President of Resource Compliance. This short video will dive into the details of IIAR Standard 9 by taking a close look at Chapter 8. Before studying Chapter 8, let's consider the big picture. First of all, the title of Standard 9 is Standard for the Minimum System Safety Requirements for Existing Closed-Circuit Ammonia Refrigeration Systems. The 9 in Standard 9 is an indicator that it is IIAR's 9th published ammonia refrigeration standard. Standard 9 contains 8 normative chapters and 6 appendices. In this video, we'll examine the content in Chapter 8 and Appendix E. Chapter 8 explains the requirements for evaluating existing systems against the minimum requirements of Chapter 7. Appendix E provides an example of a minimum system safety evaluation that can be used as a template. You may recall that earlier in the document, the scope of Standard 9 was defined in part as providing a method to determine if existing systems comply with the minimum safety requirements of the standard. Chapter 8 contains the prescriptive requirements for this methodology. Chapter 8 has 3 sections which address requirements, methodology, and frequency. The phrase minimum system safety evaluation is used 9 times in Chapter 8, and therefore it's worthwhile to add another acronym to our vernacular. Moving forward, a minimum system safety evaluation will be referred to as an MSSE. The big idea of this chapter is that it is mandatory to perform regular MSSEs to evaluate existing systems against the requirements of Chapter 7 of this standard. Section 8.2.1 prescribes that Standard 9 be used as the measuring stick for existing systems. New systems, however, should not be evaluated using this standard, and instead should be evaluated using the latest version of IIAR's design standard, Standard 2. An MSSE must include at least the following aspects: a documentation review, minimum system safety requirements review, and a physical system inspection. The purpose of each of these is to identify gaps which exist between the requirements of Standard 9 and the system configuration. As expected, the results of the MSSE and the procedures that were used to identify gaps must be documented. The documentation must specify the actions that will be taken to address each gap. When a gap is closed, the documentation should summarize what was done to correct the deficiency. If the facility declines to close an identified gap, further justification is required. Standard 9 lists 4 options to provide justification for declining to close a gap. The options are a semi-quantitative technique, an analytical tool, a quantitative risk analysis, or a variance from the authority having jurisdiction. It is beyond the scope of this video to explore each of these in detail, but Appendix A provides a helpful explanation on each. An example of a semi-quantitative technique is the what-if checklist PHA methodology. What-if checklist PHAs use risk-based rankings which are somewhat subjective, hence the semi in semi-quantitative. Layer of protection analysis, or LOPA, is given as an example of an analytical tool in Appendix A. According to the appendix, LOPA is a simplified method of risk assessment that provides the much-needed middle ground between qualitative PHA techniques, such as what-if checklist analysis, and a traditional, expensive, quantitative risk analysis, such as fault tree analysis. Fault tree analysis is an example of a quantitative risk analysis that could be utilized to decline to close a gap. In short, fault tree analysis is a deductive technique that focuses on a particular occurrence of a system or component failure and provides a method for determining the causes of that event. Arguably, the biggest implication of Standard 9 is that MSSEs must be performed initially within 5 years of the document being published. This means that the first MSSEs are due in March of 2025. It is expected that initial MSSEs will be revalidated every 5 years. Because MSSEs share the same revalidation frequency as PHAs, Appendix A suggests performing MSSEs in conjunction with PHAs. Several of the prescriptive requirements in Chapter 8 are also included in Chapter 1. The table on this slide demonstrates the similarities between Chapter 1 and Chapter 8 relative to performing initial MSSEs, revalidation frequency, and methodology. Informative Appendix E contains a sample format that can be used or modified to document MSSE findings. I trust you found this training on Chapter 8 of IIAR Standard 9 helpful. I welcome any questions or comments that you might have. Feel free to reach out to me using the contact info on the screen. Thank you.